On today's show, 10 ways to engage your music fans.
This is 30-minute music marketing.
Cue title sequence.
30-minute music marketing for musicians who want to get better at marketing their music.
Today, I'm Greg, like every other day.
I was wondering what you were saying there. Hello, and I'm Sheldon. You're supposed to say hello.
Hello!
And we collectively present the show 30-Minute Music Marketing, the show for independent artists and DIY musicians who want to get better at marketing their music. With each and every episode, incrementally, we're getting you better skilled in terms of marketing and learning all the little tips and tricks that you need to bring your fans closer into your music world. And that's sort of what today's show's all about.
It is. Are you getting better? Have you smashed that subscribe button?
Yes,
I'm going to put it here
do that now. Greg will put that little animated graphic in.
Again.
Click the bell. That way, whenever we release a new episode on hashtag Music Marketing Mondays,
of course, hashtag
you'll get a notification.
Mondays. And also give us questions,
Give us questions for future episodes. Otherwise, I will just rabbit on and create shows based around what I think is pertinent. But hey, if you're a DIY musician out there and you want a little bit of help or advice, and you want the knowledge of our collective brains, then click something underneath in the YouTube comments or the Facebook posts. We're here for you. That's what we're here for. And today, Greg, we're talking about engagement and how your fans can engage with you and your music a little bit more than maybe is happening currently.
Yes.
Now, the thing is, it's quite possible, especially in this day and age when everything is pushed to you on your phones and what have you. Music fans can be quite passive. They don't necessarily need to do a lot in order to get either the content or the music that we're making.
Put your feet up and come to me.
Listening to music is what they refer to as a lean-back experience. We get Twitter and everything. Just fans can be quite lazy. It's all sort of pushed to them, and that's fine in a way. But what that potentially does is it creates like a disassociation. If you're not actively, as a music fan, engaging with the creator, you potentially can become a little bit sort of lazy. And the more interactions, the more engagement a creator or a musician has with their audience, then the more engaged they will be. When it comes to your music, yourself as a musician, you'll have a stronger relationship between the artist and the fan. The way I always like to think of it is, I sometimes, whenever new people start following my band on Twitter, I always used to say, welcome on board to the bus. And if you can imagine, as a musician, it is an analogy, metaphor, and I never know how to describe it. So as a musician, you're driving your music bus and your music is playing on the bus for all the people, all your passengers. And it's like, oh, that's great. And then what happens is you get to a stop and you get off the bus, and maybe you play a gig and you say to the people, you can't get off the bus. You've got to be passive, you've got to sort of stay there, and then you get on the bus and you do a bit more driving and you listen to a bit more music, and then you get off and then you do something interesting, and they're still sort of stuck on the bus. And, you don't want people to be passengers in terms of your music career. Your music fans should take a greater role and involvement in your music career. And obviously there are various ways that they can do that, and we've got 10 possible suggestions as how to make them a little bit more active and how to get interactive with your audience in order to strengthen that bond and that relationship. And the idea being is that, again, if you've got a stronger bond and a stronger relationship and a deeper sense of engagement, when you come to ask them for a bit more money, then they're going to be more than willing to do that.
Well, that's the thing with something like Patreon, which is like an ongoing source funding thing, that relies on frequent engagement.
Yeah, very much so.
And, can be a good earner for you creative types out there. So we're going to start with number one, shall we, Sean?
Number one, what is number one, Greg?
Number one is keep them up to date with your projects.
Lots of people that I see are very much, shall I say, guilty of this. Here's one particular example I saw this week of one particular band They put out some sort of Instagram and said, right, we've recorded eight of our 10 new tracks now. And it's like, what? It's just like, how have you been in the studio recording 8 tracks? And this is the first I get to hear about it. In some ways, you know, if I'm a fan of that particular band, I almost feel excluded.
Well, this is something that with our 15-minute our 15-minute deep dive last week, we were talking about, you know, you get some bands who just want to work on an EP or an LP, and they don't tell anybody about it until it's finished.
Which is
and
fine if you're
content
Beyonce, I would say, but you know, for someone of a slightly sort of lower stature.
But even just seeing little tidbits of the sessions and the creative process is a way for your fans to be less passive.
You're shedding light and you're inviting them in at more possible stages, and you know, giving them a glimpse into what you're doing. If you can't be bothered to let them know what you're doing, then how is that gonna make them feel? It's almost like you're not important to me. In fact, you're only important to me when it's finished, and
you want money.
And you want money.
Yeah,
that's one way to look at it. So in terms of your creative sort of process, don't necessarily let your audience out. Be more than willing to shine a light on what you're doing and let them into that creative process.
And with things like Facebook Live and YouTube Live, most bands probably rehearse once a week. You know, it's almost like you could have a weekly TV show of kind of going, you know, it doesn't have to be for more than a couple of minutes.
I mean, my particular band are in the process now of thinking about our next album. And I even just made a tweet, I think it was yesterday, just to say that, you know, get in. It's out in, what are we on now? October, November, December, January, February, April, May. So it'll be
7 months.
7 months away, and I just said, right, there's one coming in 7 months. It's got a title. Not going to tell you the title yet, but I've planted that particular seed, and perhaps more,
they know that something
is coming and will, you know, come to fruition. But and with this particular album, more so perhaps than any of the others, I'm going to be keeping them perhaps more informed than ever before.
So, in terms of what platforms would you use for this, for keeping them up to date with projects?
Whatever social media platforms that you are on. Obviously, you know, your Facebooks, your Instas, and your Twitters. Those are the ones that are easiest to post photos and for them to sort of reply back and that sort of thing. But yes, keeping them up to date is essential, and do it on a frequent basis.
So once a week, possibly, not once every blue moon.
Or once your project is finished. Thank you very much.
Okay, so that's number one.
Yes.
So keep them up to date. See, we do this every week.
We do every week.
Apart from the fortnight you went on holiday.
Look, I went on holiday. It was Menorca. It was very nice.
Stop rubbing it in. Right, so number 2, it is take cover song requests.
It's
controversial.
If you do covers...
Well, some bands think it's controversial.
Well, if you do covers, and there are lots of musicians and artists, especially those who are gigging regularly, who do, then don't just make the choice of those cover versions your own. Again, try and appease your audience. And again, the more times you throw things out to your audience and let them reply and
they'll
them
feel
respond,
they're part
the
of
better.
something.
Exactly. And as well, you might be doing the wrong covers for your audience, and what better way to find out what your audience actually likes and what your audience listen to them is by saying, what would you like me to do? Either in terms of recording it as a cover and sticking it up on YouTube, or putting it into your live sets.
Well, I think in some ways I know that might think I'm going off on a tangent, which wouldn't be the first time.
Something you want to...
That's what these people like. It's like Apple. Apple aren't really... They see all the other things that come out, see what does well, and then respond to that by basically then taking all the best bits once they've seen how people react to stuff that's already out there. I mean, the iPhone wasn't the first phone that came out with all that functionality. I had a Motorola 5 years previously, and they weren't the first to bring out an MP3 player. But they kind of waited, see what people did, saw people's expectations, and then took it and then made it much better.
Isn't that just robbing people's ideas?
Yes, that's possibly. But ultimately,
legal summonses and litigation,
Can go to him.
Go to it's his channel. It's not mine.
It's not. So yeah. So basically, I think asking people and seeing what people want and responding to it, which is ultimately what I'm getting at, is a good thing.
Topics we will cover in future points. So what's number 3?
Number 3 is. Have you ever done this?
Yeah, I have actually.
Okay,
There you go.
I was just going to say that was more just a genuine question. Get them to write your set list.
So if you've got a number of songs and you've only got a certain amount of time in your set, you will be there, and again you will sort of create your set list as to how you think it should be. But what better way to please your fans than to say to your fans, right, well, I'm doing a show next week in Manchester. What song would you like me to play?
So would you put...
I'm just going to say, don't second guess your audience.
Which I know a lot of bands are very guilty of doing. So would you do that as like a Facebook poll? Or?
We'll talk about polls shortly, but you can do it in any way, shape or form. You can do it through a poll, you can just do it through a general post, and you can monitor the... I think when we did this, which was for my band's greatest hits album and compilation, and we were doing like a greatest hits set, we had... There's something like 17 songs in our set, and we gave people, because we've got a lot of material for each song slot within the set, we gave people 3 choices as to which one they could do. I don't even think Facebook polls were out at the time, because I think that would have been 2015, so that's quite a long time
So you
ago.
had 17 slots, and each slot had 3 options.
Yes, but obviously
that's
that's just because we had dare I say, a lot of good songs, he boasted. But, it could well be that if you've only got maybe sort of, 20 minutes or half an hour, then you could go, right, well, what song do you want us to finish with? What song do you want us to open with? And again, it's a case of not second-guessing your audience. Now, myself and a few of the people that I know are very big Queen fans. And we can monitor, as they go on tour, we can monitor their set lists as the fans post them, so night by night. And we're all sat there going, oh, they're playing that one again. and it's go, and dare I say, we're not going to see them on this current tour because they're playing the same old stuff time after time. Whereas, what might have been better would be to go to the people who are actually going to their concerts and follow them on their Facebook page, going, right, what would you actually like us to play on this particular tour? It's one way of doing it, and again, getting your audience involved, pleasing them at every step in the musical journey.
So that was number 3. So get them to write your song list, set list even. Number 4. So let them contribute towards a music video. Do you mean financially?
No, well, no, not necessarily financially, but some sort of artistic contribution. Now, let's get back to Queen again. Fairly recently on their social media channels, they were saying, right, we want you to do some dancing and some choreography, which we could insert into some new fan clip videos to popular Queen songs.
Did that?
Yeah, they're down with the kids, man. Down with the kids. So the person who was looking at this, the Remy Malek's movement coordinator,
right?
So he got his Freddie Mercury moves right. She did like an instructional video saying, right, we want you to do this dance to this particular song, and so she basically said, right, do this move and then do that move, and then they encouraged the Queen fans to do it. So what's going to happen is, like, over the next couple of weeks, again, involving their fans and letting their fans become part of the Queen experience, they're going to create and edit a music video where real people at home, real Queen fans, are in the music. Now, if you can imagine that, if you're a Queen fan in a Queen music video, you're going to be floating on air.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean,
and so if you ask, this is you, the
viewer
listener / viewer, if you ask some of your fans maybe to do some lip syncing or some dancing or some other visual contribution that they can film on their phone and send to you, and if they end up in one of your music videos, and then you release that, the likelihood of those particular people sharing that video
because they're in
it is going to be all the greater. So you're actually increasing the distribution thereof. Oh, that's a good idea, isn't it? And in terms of the last music video that we did, which we recorded in your gaff, Greg,
Yes.
way back. Well, this was at the start of the year.
Right, okay.
You remember we had some of our own fans.
Yes, you did.
I did. Again, just as a way and a thank you to some of our super fans. Just to say thanks very much and get them involved in the creative process. They're now, again, fans who...
They're part of the family, aren't they?
They are part of the family. What
It's an
better
extended
way
family.
to reward them than to embed them in one of our music videos? Not literally, that would be hideous.
So you've put here, so get your friends to maybe lip sync or dance in a music video like what Queen did. I know we've mentioned this briefly, but I still don't know a great deal about it. TikTok.
TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh, it's...
Have you looked at it anymore?
I haven't. I need to. It's got over 500... It's got a usership of between 500 million and a billion people. And it hasn't got
so not that big then.
Not that big. It has. So it's already bigger than Twitter. It's not got a lot of people making content on there. It's got primarily a very young user base, which is one of the reasons why, because I'm quite old, I haven't, my band's audience is it's slightly towards the older sort of side of things. Why I haven't investigated in this, but it's one of those that really it does require investigation at some point. And there's lots of, and again, all the content that's being made on there is primarily fan user generated content. Lots of dancing to existing music tracks, old Lil Nas X and Old Town Road. No, he doesn't know. I'll explain to you these cultural phenomena that are passing you by once the camera is off.
This is what happens when you live in the countryside.
There are instances whereby songs now break on TikTok.
Yeah. Well, didn't that Baby Shark break on
I don't know. That's
YouTube?
That's a little bit.
But it was being played on Radio 1 for some bizarre reason. So, and so you put here, because I mean, like album artwork, so they came in for the photo shoot, didn't they?
Yes.
And stuff. So
yeah, we had some fans in for our album artwork as well.
And
rewarding fans all the way.
And then, like, I know BT's got people to send Spotify playlists.
So the drinking game at home, every time you mention BT, take a shot.
I'm trying to think of anyone else that's done stuff like. I mean, there will be plenty. I mean, I know Diamond Days, although they're unfortunately no longer going. They just got a load of their fans down to be in a bar that they rented for a music video. So
Oh, in fact, yeah, we've done that as well. We filmed a video. Can you believe this? We filmed a video in a pub, invited all our fans down there, and we put 300 quid behind the bar and gave everyone free drinks. Because,
that's a cheap video, really, I suppose.
It's a very cheap video.
So, and also, I think it's a little bit better than just doing a band video with a DSLR with a load of lights in a warehouse.
I don't want to see you playing your instruments. No one wants to see that. It's
anymore.
2019, nearly 2020.
Yeah.
We've moved on.
So, number 5, run contests.
Contests are really good for the simple reason that people like entering and trying to win things.
I have had bands go, but I don't like competitions. And it's like, well, you don't have to take part.
Yes.
It's for the fans out there.
Exactly. What I found in terms of some of the best things to give away as prizes is if you've got new merch lines coming on. So, T-shirts, I don't know, frisbees, whatever merch you are making for your... Sorry, there's a dog in...
There's a dog
in... Just slightly out of shot. Whatever you've got, a new line that's coming onto your merch store, before it goes on sale to the general public...
Oh, give them an exclusive...
It's an exclusive item. No, be the first person in the world to own this particular tote bag or this particular beanie hat that we've just had embroidered. So it'll only cost you the cost of getting manufactured. So it's not even the retail price. It's the manufacturing
just the cost price.
Yeah, and it's something that, again, it's a really special prize because no one else will have it. They will be the first person in the world to own it.
What can you do what could you offer? Because you've obviously got, well, not obviously because they don't know, but you have a lot of merch. You're already at that stage.
Yes.
So say, for example, you kind of just go, well, I'll just give them a T-shirt because you've got a few. Some of these people might not be at that stage. What else could they offer that doesn't require a huge amount of expense? And don't say bath water, because that's been done in the past and that failed badly.
I would like to post out bath water. Badges. Badges are reasonably expensive. Can be ordered in small quantities.
Do you mean not reasonably inexpensive?
What did I say?
Reasonably expensive.
Sorry, reasonably inexpensive. There
and pins, or what they called pins?
Buttons.
That's it.
To our American friends. Hello.
Confused.
Hello to America.
So, no. I mean, maybe just actually giving something personal.
A sign, yeah. Something. I've got a story to tell you as soon as the camera's finished.
Well, you always say this, but we forget.
Oh no, I can't tell you. But for example, you could again set lists.
Yeah, the amount of people that I see.
Drum skins, signed drum skins.
Even when I did some work with a band that I'm a big fan of, I got given a set list because I just needed to know what to focus on, but I've still kept it.
Yes.
Because it's like, it's a band I'm a big fan
It's only
of.
a printed sheet of A4 that's come out of your printer. It's cost you nothing more than the ink, but if all the members of your band sign it...
Give them a plectrum.
Plectrum, yes.
Drumsticks. Even used drum skins I've seen.
Yes.
Someone would just sign a used battered drum skin.
Ideas. And again, those sorts of things are money cannot buy prizes.
Yeah. So you don't have to, although T-shirts are great, it doesn't have to be anything that extravagant.
Have to be physical merch. It could be all the accoutrements that you'd probably throw away anyway.
So you don't need to boil those bass strings anymore. You can just give them away as a prize. So number 6.
Yes.
It's a bit vague, this, but ask questions. So I'm going to ask a question on the ask questions part.
Right, yes. So in terms of trying to get a response from people, the easiest thing trying to get a response from anybody in any situation would be to ask them a question. So ask them their opinion on something. So, for example, I look after some social media for lightly for a couple of bands, and one of them is currently a Genesis tribute band. So I said on their Facebook page this week, to their fans, what's your favourite Genesis lyric?
As in line.
Yeah, as in, and all dozens and dozens of people all replied with their sort of favourite. And it's engagement. It's by asking them questions, and questions that are reasonably easy to answer and are based around either yourself, your music, or your brand, which are the things that that you like and your fans like. That common ground between you. It's a fun way to engage them. Fairly recently, a couple of weeks back, I asked people, this will only make sense to people in the UK, I asked my fans what the best crisps to make a crisp butty with were. I got 1,000 responses, Greg. 1,000.
Excuse me.
Because it's fun, it's on brand.
Was there a one that was head and shoulders above the rest?
XL cheese and onion. They're only available in Cumbria.
What?
That's...
Actually, talking to Chris, I am absolutely addicted to the flaming hot wings Walker's Max. I've eaten 2 big bags of it. I'm literally going to become the size of one. I'm obsessed.
Look, keep this crisp chat out of this particular, because I've got my own channel that runs crisp videos. So actually, questions are great, because because what happens on social media is this: you go, oh, look at me, I'm in the studio today, and somebody again. Potentially, that could be sort of quite oh, here's me in Nero or Starbucks having a coffee. It's just like, oh, great, well done. I'm getting a view on your life, however. But,
that's more an Instagram post rather than a content.
But there's nothing, if I'm a fan at home, I'm potentially going, that's nice, but there's nothing for me to do here.
Yeah.
So if you're actually provoking
it's just more passive
that needs a response, then questions are the way to go.
So actually asking you, Coach, what's your favourite Queen lyric?
Queen,
It's a Kind of Magic.
No, I really don't like It's a Kind of Magic. I'd have to think.
I
about
thought
it.
you would have been
Probably
able to
something
answer
from
that.
News of the World. I can tell you what one of my favourite lyrics of all time is.
Go on.
It's from Public Enemy. It's "You sing as a spineless, you sing your senseless songs to the mindless. Your general subject love is minimal. It's sex for profit."
Which record's that by Public
I
Enemy?
can't remember. I can remember that though. Or
I didn't expect a lyric to come from your mouth from Mr. Chuck D himself.
I know. There's also what is it? Mandela, cell dweller, Thatcher. You can tell her. Clear the way for the prophets of rage.
Okay.
Always loved that one. Always.
I
What's
do.
your favourite Public Enemy lyric? Put it in the comments below.
I do like the line to do with Margaret Thatcher in Tears of Fears, sowing the seeds of love. Politician granny with your high ideas, with no idea how the majority feels.
Oh, lyrics! You see, the touches deeply. You know, you can't.
And it's
forget
as
them.
relevant then as it is now. So yeah. So ask questions. If you ask questions, if you don't ask questions, you don't get answers.
Number 7, we are on to. Similar to number 6, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, it's a variant, perhaps.
So number 7 is run polls.
You know what I found in my experience? Everybody loves a poll because again, when you asked me then what my favourite Queen lyric, I was stumped. I couldn't necessarily contribute. If you've got a poll, if you've got a defined set of responses to a question, then people really like to jump on board and take part. The one thing I've seen with Twitter, I mean, I've got like 10,000. My band's got 10,000 followers on Twitter, and you can post something and you might get 1 or 2 likes, and you're thinking, is anybody actually sort of reading this? Run a poll, and a poll that generally can be fun, that people will want to take part in. You will get hundreds and hundreds of responses, and all those people are out there. And again, they're just sort of passive.
But you find something that resonates with them.
Find something that resonates. Find something that they can take part in, and they will take part in it.
So like bread rolls, I still find that whole thing.
Yes, as to what it can be. So again, think about what is relevant to yourself and your music
And your
brand
audience.
and your audience, and what you will find, as with questions, you might need to fine tune the topics of your poll. The lead singer to my band, he does the most banal and silly polls on Twitter, and that's his thing. And again, he gets a tremendous response just by asking. He'll say things. He'll have like a change jar on his desk at work that he puts all his coppers in, and he'll say, right, how much do you think is in this? He'll maybe questions like that, or polls about what he should have for his dinner, that sort of thing, and generate a terrific amount of response. So polls are a nice and easy way for people to chip in and reply and have a bit of interaction with you.
So, moving swiftly on to number 8. Yes. Give your community a name.
So if you have got followers and fans, it's good practice to give them a name so they sort of form a sort of a collective. So Justin Bieber has his Beliebers. Lady Gaga's fans called her Little sort of Monsters. And what the idea here is, in terms of engagement, if you create a community, and perhaps even if you give that community its own special place. So in other words, like you could have a Facebook group rather than Facebook page. Facebook group where they all congregate and chat amongst themselves. The idea here is that the engagement potentially happens between the fans themselves rather than you having to do that all the time. If that makes sense, you sort of see what I mean. Rather than you being the instigator between the artist and the fan, if you can create some sort of community, they
can bring up topics of their own that they can.
They can. It's almost like self-perpetuating.
Yeah.
They can feed on the energy of each other, and they can engage each other. Perhaps potentially leaving you to more time to do other things.
So does your community have a name?
I'm going to start it. We have got a name.
Yeah, but you probably can't say
something.
it here.
It's something. But Mike, sorry, did you say? My fans have names.
As in collectively?
No, they have collectively. I won't say it here, but you know, I don't want to be constantly stroking my own dog.
Fair enough, but no, I know what you mean. I do know that.
You can see the sense of getting. I mean, again, if you something like Twitter, you could use a collective sort of hashtag. You can get them to follow each other. Like a Follow Friday on Twitter, you can say, right, fans of mine use this particular hashtag. Follow everybody who's using that hashtag. And again, you can create a community and a shared topic.
It's that extended family, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost like giving them a surname so they know that they're all part of that one group.
Yeah.
And
again, let that family talk and communicate with each other to almost strengthen their bond.
Do you keep a view on what's kind of going within that and then engage as and when you feel like it?
Yes, that's the idea. But the best communities and the best, certainly groups on Facebook, obviously you start it, you're the instigator, and you sort of coordinate it. But almost like the best ones, what you will generally tend to find is that people will perhaps elevate themselves amongst the group.
Yes.
And then you can give that particular person maybe a set of privileges in order to be moderator, that sort of thing. So it could well be that if it's a well conducted and a well coordinated group, yes, you are sort of dipping in there and again leading the discussions, but it's a great opportunity for you to step away and let that community engage and interact with each other.
So basically what you're saying is you need to set up a band buy and sell Facebook group, because they all seem to have loads of people that are on it. But no, I mean, we've done the same for the studio, where we've just set up a group of all the customers so they can kind of network and bounce resources off each other.
Yeah, and obviously if you've got what is now an extra place for your fans to congregate, you also have to congregate as well there, and you have to,
would that be a good way for them to actually upload their experiences of your band so you can then use that video footage for promotional purposes? But obviously give them...
What I'm generally going to do with my dedicated, should we call it a fan zone, if need be, is potentially, if it's going to be populated by more sort of hardcore fans, I would give them stuff that maybe the casual listener wouldn't necessarily be all that sort of fussed about. So it's almost like, this is a fan community, but we're going into it even deeper than we are doing on our main sort of social channels. So it's almost like this is the nerd space.
Okay, makes sense. So give your community a name.
Yes, that's number 8.
So number 9. I can't even read this day.
Struggling.
I am. Get them to choose your artwork.
Yes, so
that's a dangerous one, isn't it?
Well, potentially, but again, this is the people that's going to be consuming it. We should potentially take, directive cues from our audience. So if you've got a single coming up, or an album, or maybe even if you're releasing a T-shirt and you don't necessarily know whether you should do the design in blue or the design in red, give the people who are going to be either buying or consuming the product the option and the final say in your creative decisions. Again, you are nothing without your audience, so why not let them take a little bit more of a direct sort of interest? And perhaps if they see you as an artist, letting them as a fan take more of a control of your career, maybe they'll like you more for it.
I mean, just remember Boaty McBoatface.
Yes, indeed. All those people who voted and who weren't allowed to change that boat's name, they felt quite disenchanted.
So, but it encouraged people into a subject that they probably wouldn't have done before.
Yeah, exactly.
It's people naming a boat, and suddenly got loads and loads of responses.
So anytime you've got, potential creative decisions, especially when it comes to products or releases, and again, it may well be that what generally happens is that, if you ask a graphic designer to come up with like a single cover artwork, they will generally produce a couple of different sort of variants.
Yeah.
And you're also going, oh, I quite like that one. Maybe I quite like that one. Make narrow it down to a short list of maybe even say 2. And again, by engaging with your audience and asking them to vote, you're also reminding them that you've got a release coming up as well.
Zach, he did that with his logo. He kind of got a logo in a variety, in maybe 3 or 4 different designs, and then basically I suggested to him to make sure that everybody could read it, and so he kind of put it there and just asked people and kind of got them engaged, and knew that he involved people in that process, but also he knew that the market said that was the one that was the most intelligible and eye-catching.
Very good, very good. And how have we done it so quickly, Greg? We're at number 10 already.
I know. So get them into the studio.
Yes. So what better way to get people involved and actively interested in your music than to get them to play on your records? So
you actually mean in the recording room,
I
not the
mean
studio?
in the record. Yeah. So you could do this maybe as a competition prize. You could maybe offer it as some sort of financial reward on some sort of Patreon crowdfunder type thing. But hand claps, shakers, gang vocals. If somebody is, what better thing for a fan to take part in terms of the music and creation process than actually being on I'll use the terminology record, but actually be an audio contributor to a piece of music.
You stuck with mostly percussion rather than, but
I don't.
But that probably makes it a bit more play it safe, unless they're a virtuoso guitarist.
Again, and gang vocals, put them potentially right at the back of the mix. They might be going, can I hear me? It's multi-track, yes. But again,
I see
that's possibly the ultimate way that you can get them.
I've seen
engaged.
This quite a bit on like tiers of Kickstarter projects, where suddenly you can have your name in the in the credits on the inlay card.
That's one level. The next level up is that that particular fan might be able to pay just to observe what goes on and to be with you in the same room and the day in the studio. And then that can also be right. Let's record your hand claps, and you can be a contributor in that way, or a shaker, or do a bit of tambourine. You could probably overdub it, and make it a bit more musical, and they'll never know. But I just think that's an absolutely fantastic way to get them involved. It's the ultimate involvement.
It gives you additional chance to capture more content of them being here.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win, really.
They're likely to do a bit of filming whilst they're in the studio. They'll put it on their social channels. Bang! More people know about your upcoming musical project.
So there you go. 10 ways to engage your music fans.
Should we do this 10 so people can, just for the thumbnail? There we go.
Yes, they've now got our fingerprints, so
all over it. So I hope you found that useful. There's got to be at least 1 or 2 things there out of the 10 that you'll be able to act upon in the next coming 7 days, I would say. So
share them with us.
Give them a try. Yeah, if you actually do any one of the things that we've suggested, why not put a link within either the Facebook or the YouTube comments down low, so we can have a look at what you're up to. That'd be great.
Okay, well, until this time next week even.
Yes, we shall. Yeah, have a great week. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.